Hey guys, welcome to my pre-owned review of Assassin's Creed Unity. So, Assassin's Creed Unity has been out for a bit now. It came out in 2014, so it's been out for 4 years. This was the first next-gen Assassin's Creed game, and for those of you who remember when it came out, it was a mess. This game was a terribly launched game, and it was just bad. But I thoroughly enjoyed the gameplay of it, but I don't know if I enjoyed a lot of it. But I will give you guys my full review of the game now. So first, let's start off with the story. To read you simply the text from the synopsis that you can find on Wikipedia, so as little of the story as I can get away with. Arno's story. So Arno is the main character of the story. He is a Frenchman, and he was born in Versailles to an assassin father. After his father is killed at the end of Assassin's Creed Rogue by the main character of that game, Arno is adopted, unaware that the new head of his family holds a senior position in the Templar Order, with his new adoptive father being the actual Grand Master of the Templar Order. When his adoptive father is murdered, Arno blames himself and sets out on a quest for redemption, which eventually leads him to join the Assassin's Brotherhood. So I won't reveal anything else about the story, but I will say it's the most boring, stupid story in all of Assassin's Creed. I don't know why, but of all the main games, this game has the absolute worst story. It is a weak, bad story. I don't want to spoil anything, basically. But just, I will spoil things eventually. But just, like, the things he does in the game, and the reasons he does them, are good. Like, he does the things he does for a good reason. But then, I mean, if you asked me the names of anyone besides Arno and his love interest, Elise, I don't remember them. I know Napoleon was in this game, but that's about it. These games are normally full of historical figures, but I can't name you one that was actually in this game besides Napoleon. I honestly cannot remember anybody that was in this game. And, like, the final boss battle in this game is so bad. Like, when I remember boss fights in Assassin's Creed, I remember Al-Mualim from the first game and Rodrigo Borgia from the second game. Now, those were pretty bad ones, but then you have good ones like the fight with Haytham in Assassin's Creed 3, or geez, there were good ones from like the fight with Cesare in Brotherhood. I'm trying to remember some other good ones. Even the final battle in Syndicate, which was still pretty anticlimactic, was better than this battle. Basically, I'm gonna spoil it. So if you don't want to hear it spoiled, just skip ahead in the video. I'm gonna spoil the very end of the boss fight. Basically, the main Eden artifact in this game is the Sword of Eden. I don't even remember what it does because the story is forgettable and boring. But basically, the bad guy gets the sword, and you and your girlfriend are fighting him. Your girlfriend's a Templar, by the way, so Arno's like trying to broker peace, which has kind of been the theme from 3 and well, actually, it's been more of a theme like in the recent ones. Like in this one, he wants to broker peace. In 3, broker peace, like, was kind of a thing. But she gets killed in the stupidest way possible, charging in at the bad guy and then getting blasted by the thing she knows can shoot off a giant shockwave, and then she's dying on the ground, and he runs off to fight the bad guy, knowing the same thing might just happen to him. So, in the end of the game, Arno leaves the Brotherhood because he loved Elise, and they wouldn't listen to him or work with her. So, that kind of, like, all the stuff that you've done, you're like, okay, I want to be an assassin, my girlfriend's a Templar, that's okay, like, she can switch sides, or we can work something out, you know? But just to have your character that you've spent all this time being an assassin, just have them not be an assassin at the end of the game, is so stupid. I hate it. And that's why the ending of the game is just so bad. Like, it feels like all your progression was for absolutely nothing, because now you're not an assassin, you're just some rogue guy running around Paris.
You knew this was coming, and now you owe me.
You are! Get out of here right now!
And, alright, now I'm done spoiling the story. So, overall, the story is boring, and the ending is bad. And the characters are completely forgettable. So now we are going to move on to gameplay, starting with the graphics. As you can clearly see, if I can get to a slightly higher position real fast, Paris in this game looks good. Like, this looks good. It's a good-looking game. The set pieces are awesome. A lot of the stuff that was wrong with it when it first came out were, like, graphical things with the characters and animations. And I can see in some places, like, where they didn't fix it. Like, where I land and Arno's cloak is, like, in the ground. Or something like that. Like, yeah, just look at this. This looks good. Like, that's a good-looking Paris. Not compared to, like, Origins or Syndicate, that's not very good-looking, but still, this is a good-looking game. So you have the city of Paris, which I'll show the map to you, is huge. It follows along the way of Assassin's Creed games switching from, like, multiple smaller cities to one big city that you focus on. And I kind of liked that, but I also really liked the way Origins went back to, like, the original roots of having multiple cities. But the fact that they have this big city is that they can, each of these districts, Ventre de Paris, La Beaver, I don't know, La Courtière Latine, like, all of these districts, they feel different. Because you go into them and they actually look like slightly, like, they look like Paris, but then they look slightly different as well. And some things will happen in the game that will affect buildings and such, and those have permanent, lasting impressions on the world. Like, you blow up a building in a mission, the building doesn't just respawn. You blew up a building in Paris for one reason or another, and it's gone forever. And there's also a catacombs underneath, as you would normally know from like, regular Paris. There are catacombs underneath the game, like, the streets. The catacombs are pretty fun to go through, but of course the most fun, it's an Assassin's Creed game, is to climb up on rooftops and run across the tops of them. And unlike in Assassin's Creed 3, where that was kind of became less of a thing because of guards on the roofs, there are barely any guards on the roofs anymore, except for in, like, restricted areas. So one of the biggest additions in this game, which was carried on in Syndicate, which is the only other newer Assassin's Creed game that I've played, is the free run up, free run down system. And free running up basically allows you to go up, and free running down makes you go down. But there are less hay bales in this game, and it's for the reason of the fact that you now can free run down. So your descents become much quicker.
Where are you going?
And much easier to do. And, just give me 1 second. I will continue. The free run up, free run down system is so good, but the main problem with the game's controls is that they are very, very finicky. A lot of times, your character will not do what you want him to do.
Get you right in.
Damn it! Who's killed you there?
Like, if I try to go up a certain way, or do a certain thing the way I want to, like, sometimes I can't, which is very annoying.
That's right.
What do you want?
You sell tainted bread and have the gall to show your face.
I don't...
So there is also the new edition of the Phantom Blade, which allows you to shoot different types of darts. There's the regular darts as well as berserk darts, and I believe there are poison darts as well. But as you can see, it replaces the hidden blade. So you have one hidden blade. It is a mix between a crossbow and a hidden blade. So as far as I can tell, he uses the edge of the darts as a blade, or there's a blade in there. I can't honestly tell. It's really hard to tell. And of course there are smoke bombs, stun grenades, cherry bombs, poison gas, money pouches. There is a disguise kit, pistols, health potions, things like that. You know, normal Assassin's Creed stuff. There's also a very in-depth character customization system, where you've got multiple skill trees, including melee, range, stealth, health. You have a massive amount of gear loadout, where you can buy one-handed weapons like swords, hammers, and maces, to guillotine guns. These things are crazy. They're a blunderbuss and an axe in the same weapon. They're awesome. I love them. The thing is, you have to buy them with Creed points, which you gain throughout the game. As you can see, I have a crap ton of them up there. But then you notice that other thing next to the Creed points. Those are called Helix points, I believe? If we go to eStore, yeah, Helix credits, I can show you the problem with them. That's the problem. Microtransactions in a single-player game. And of course, if you can see up there at the top, pay here, get a crap ton of them. And you want to keep buying more so you get extra free ones, right? This unlocks stuff quicker. I'm gonna say it now. This is for every game I review, new, old, anywhere, any game at all that I review. If it is a single-player game, it could have co-op. This game has co-op, I'll get to that. But if it is a single-player game, and there are microtransactions, simply for the fact of unlocking things quicker, I am docking a point from the final score. So this thing is already at a 9, And I haven't even calculated in anything else besides the microtransactions. Microtransactions in a single-player game is a very shitty practice. It is why I didn't make a video of this, but it's why if I were to review Middle-earth: Shadow of War, I would dock a frickin' point from that. Because I love that game. It's so fun. But the end is a grind because they want you to buy microtransactions. And the microtransactions in a single-player game is so dumb and should be just not even thought of by game companies when they make these games. It's so horrible. I'm sorry I had to go on a tangent there about microtransactions, but I am docking a point from the final score of any game that a single player can have a co-op in it. But if it's a single player game with microtransactions, I'm docking a point. So this game is already losing a point. See, look, there's even boosts. Significantly increase the damage you inflict for 3 minutes, and you buy it with 100 Helix credits. Do you get Helix credits for free? Do you earn them? Earning them makes me less mad about them. I will dock half a point for microtransactions, single player, for getting things earlier that you can earn in the game. So that's how Shadow of War does it. So I would only dock half a point in that instance. But you can't earn these. You get 400 some, I think that number up there, you get that number free from the Ubisoft Club. That's it. That's all you get. And it makes me so mad that these are in the game. So the final part of gameplay that I want to talk about is the varied assassination missions. So assassination missions in the past Assassin's Creed games were just kind of go here, kill this target, and normally you do it in a fun, flary way. Well, in this game, you could have like this guy, he's going into a church, and you have options. Do you want to go through the roof and sneak down from the top, or do you want to crawl in through the catacombs and go from the bottom and sneak in on the ground floor? Or do you want to steal a key to a back door and go in that way? Do you want to take him out while he's in a crowd? Or do you want to wait until he's in the confessional booth, jump into the other side where the priest normally goes, and stab him through the booth? I love it. It was the draw of the game for me. It was playing these awesome varied assassination missions. Syndicate doubled down on those varied assassination missions, and they made them extremely fun. That's why Syndicate is my favorite of the next-gen Assassin's Creed. Of course, it's the only one I've played besides this one. I haven't played Origins, I will say that now. But I love the varied assassination missions. They make the game really fun. They really, really do. Alright, so now we move on to other modes of play. There's two. First, there is the co-op. So I believe I can show you that in the Play Together tab. So these are some of my contacts that I assume had the game. So I can compare player profiles with these guys. Let's take my friend here. My friend Marlon has played. You can see his stats down below. Favorite social activity, his character's stats, and all that stuff. Clearly, he's done much better than me. So you can play 2-player or 4-player co-op in missions or heists. Heists are normally like go here and steal all this stuff. Missions are like go here, do this thing, basically, like kill a guy, burn a document, save a hostage, something like that. And those are actually really fun. They're a fun diversion from the main game, and there's something to do if you have a bunch of friends that own the game. But I mean, they're not like something I would say, oh, get this game because of the co-op. Like, it's fun, but it's not that fun. Then there is the Dead Kings DLC. I'm not going to be able to show you guys any of it because it's a complicated process to get into. But the Dead Kings DLC is a free DLC that was made free because of the whole mess with the launch. You don't need to download it. I'm gonna say right now, if you get this game, you don't need it. Basically what it's supposed to do is tie up the story. Is after Arno's journey, he wants to go to Egypt to get away from Paris and get away from the French Revolution and all that stuff. So he wants to leave Paris, and this guy hires him to find an artifact, and if he finds him that artifact, then he will get Arno safe passage to Egypt. But it adds nothing to the game. It is boring, the puzzles are not fun, the enemies are samey. It's so bad. I personally couldn't play it. I played through one mission, and I was like, oh, I can go back to Paris now? Okay, that's more fun. I'm going back to Paris now. It's just dumb. And if you want to get it, get it. If you don't, that's okay. Like I said, it's free content. So, I mean, if you're one that's like, oh, I don't want to pass up on free content, then go ahead and get it. But if you're not like, oh yeah, there's also the lockpicking system, which is based off of the level and the lockpicking skill that you have. So if I go into character customization, skills, stealth, I can upgrade my lockpicking skill if I only had 9 creed points, or whatever. Yeah, lockpicking in this game, it's nothing like what it was in Assassin's Creed 3, which was the best lockpicking, personally, for me. It was awesome. This is basically just hit a button 3 times, and it's over. But it doesn't really detract anything. So, now that we've talked about all of the game, I want to make one final note. One final note. All of the characters in the game, they speak French in an English accent. You can hear that guy like shouting out in French, but let me try to find somebody that's just speaking in English, because when they're speaking in English, they speak with an English, like a British accent. They do not speak with a French accent. Most of the commoners speak just in French, but like main characters, when they speak, or characters that speak for like a reason, they speak in a British accent, and that just breaks immersion for me. And it's dumb, and a dumb oversight that they missed in this game, and I can't believe they did. So now for the pros and cons. Pros: the beautiful setting of Paris, the mission variety, the character customization with all the different outfits and weapons that you can use. The co-op mode which is pretty fun. The nice free run up and down system that makes free running easier and more fun. And the fact that you get a cool gold sword at the end. If you weren't listening to the spoilers, I will not tell you what that sword is. It's just cool and it's gold. The negatives. I'm docking a full point for the microtransactions, like I mentioned earlier. I'm docking a full point for the story and the forgettable characters. And lumping in the no French accents, which is kind of a minor thing for me, as well as the finicky controls and the overall lack of improvement from in not graphics, but like in mechanics and fighting, and the fact that like some of the old glitches that were available, like you could find on the Xbox 360 and the PS3, you can still see here in some of the fighting, and the style just hasn't changed. Combining all three of those things together, that's another point off. So, my final verdict for Assassin's Creed Unity at its current state is a 7 out of 10. It's alright. It's definitely not as good as Mafia, and if I were to go more in-depth about the controls of the game and just the fact that, like, you can't really go where you want to because, like, you're crawling up a wall and suddenly Arno goes in a different direction than you wanted him to, so you didn't get exactly where you wanted, or he'll sit on a window and just fly back and forth on the sides of the window, not going in instead of... he's just, like, hanging on the sides instead of going in. I think if I factor in all of the problems I've had with the game and the fact that a lot of the bugs weren't really completely fixed, I have to give it a 6. Absolute final verdict, 6 out of 10. So, this is a game that I would recommend to Assassin's Creed fans. If you haven't played this one, you played the rest, pick it up, give it a play, rent it, buy it used and trade it back in, or rent it. Either of those. But don't buy it and keep it. I mean, if this thing was worth enough to trade back in, I probably would, but I won't because it's probably not worth anything anymore. But if you have a friend that owns the game, or you can find a way to rent it from someone or somewhere, do that. And if you're a big fan of the game series, pick it up. But if you're not a fan of the series and you want to try it out, rent it. And if you're not a fan of the series and you don't want to try it out, don't get it. And if you can't find a way to rent it, don't get it. I would really only recommend this to people who like the series. And it really doesn't add that much to the series, really. It just, if you want to say that you've played all the games, you now can. So, that's it for this review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I don't know what the next game will be. Kind of leaving that open in the air right now. I have a lot of pre-owned games that I have to go through and make a decision about. So, I will see you guys next time.